Welcome to Kawayan Cafe, where every sip serves a tale and every tale weaves the bamboo heartbeat of the Philippines. This is Rika, your host. Dive in as we unfold the lush stories and sustainable trails of our beloved bamboo landscapes. Hello, and welcome back to Kawayan Cafe. For our second speaker for this year, we have a very special guest that talks a lot about sustainable building. One of the goals we have in the Bamboo Bootcamp is not just to teach about bamboo, but teach about other sustainable building methodologies. So we've always dreamed of combining earth and bamboo, eliminating or at least lessening the use of cement and steel. When I heard about architect Ronnie from engineer Kevin, they took the Rammed Earth course with with architect Jed. I learned that architect Ronnie is the first and only practicing regenerative architect in the Philippines. So, in this episode, we're going to be exploring about regenerative architecture as well as the rammed earth technology. And hopefully, for all of you guys that are joining us at the Bamboo Bootcamp here in Davao this coming February 22nd to March 3rd at Hayag Farm School, you get to learn and hear from architect Ronnie himself, where he'll be talking about rammed earth, regenerative architecture, and using the earth as a sustainable building material. So when I read your profile, it said you're the only regenerative architect in the Philippines.
That's right.
How did you even think of becoming one, or how were you interested in looking into that any further?
Okay. I never intended to become one, Rika, no? In fact, I started with the trend. The buzzword at the time is sustainability, green and sustainability. So I even enrolled on seminar workshops with EDGE. Ito yung sa Verde, no? Nagpa-certify ako dyan. And I even looking forward for EDGE certification as a practitioner, no? But when I realized, actually nag-compound ito into something else, Rika. Kasi nung sabi ko, when I asked our um, instructor at the time, sabi ko, kasi they're developing apps for efficiency nung usage, definitely. No? So napakaganda nung system and sabi ko, I want to learn it. I want to become one. But at that time, I think nung dinidevelop siya, I have a question. Sabi ko, yung efficiency nung isang bahay, mako-compute mo na kung ilan ang tubig na pwede mong matipid, ilan ang energy, embodied energy, etc. etc. So lahat ng pwede mong ma-save for that matter, kayang-kaya niya talagang gawin because of that app. Napaka-sophisticated at the time.
Okay.
But I had one question, sabi ko, what if magtanim ako ng puno in front of the house, will it affect the app? No, so hindi yun nasagot. In fact, hindi yun kasama sa app at the time. But I believe meron na yatang mga app na kasama na yung natural environment. No? So at that time, sabi ko, one tree which is very important, which is very crucial, siya yung magbibigay sa iyo ng shade para wala kang araw, hindi mainit yung bahay mo. Siya yung magbibigay sa iyo ng food. Siya yung magbibigay sa iyo ng protection with extreme wind, no? Hindi yan kasama usually no? Yeah. Hindi yan sukat, no, sa sustainability. But ignored. So there's something lacking. There's something there's a gap, no, doon sa ginagawa. And when I stumble upon what am I going to do about this, I also got involved with the disaster survey during the Yolanda.
Okay.
No? And at that time, sabi ko, it's becoming a cyclic situation na yung ating super typhoon, which is used to be a 100 years to 150 years cycle. And now, dumating siya in 3 years time kasi 2013 nangyari yung Yolanda, and then 2016 may nangyari ulit sa Batanes, which is a very good narrative na pwede kong i-share sa atin, Rika, when I get there, no?
Yeah.
Very good narrative when this is my research, no, with the Ivatans. So sabi ko, 3 years cycle, ganon kabilis na lamang yung cycle natin. And recently, nagkaroon ng super typhoon, yung experience natin dito sa Manila. And then after 3 days, meron na namang super typhoon, no? So what used to be a 100 to 150 year cycle, and now it's a 3 day cycle or baka hour cycle na lang. So
Yeah.
ganon nag-adjust yung ating environment. The question is, ang tao kaya niyang mag-adjust doon sa situation na extreme.
Yeah.
So with that, sabi ko, with our technology, with our things, no, there's something lacking with how we address the situation, no. We keep on saving resources, which is the very definition of what sustainability is all about, and the green model is all about. You save resources for the benefit of the future generation. Tama?
Correct. Yeah.
That's the definition of United Nations, in fact. But I realized our global population keeps on growing. Right now, we're over 8 billion, and by 2050, according to United Nations, we're going to balloon to 10 billion global population. So if we have natural calamities, kung ano yung sinave natin ngayon, hindi pa natin naisama yung natural calamities, yan din yung gagamitin ng ating mga population by 2050.
Yeah.
So kung kulang ngayon, definitely kulang by 2050. So
Yeah.
sabi ko, instead of us saving these resources, we might as well replenish our resources. We need to restore, we need to regenerate.
Yeah.
No? So hindi tayo dapat nagtitipid lang, because I realized, like water for example, Rika, ang water, hindi yan nadagdagan, hindi yan nabawasan. Kung ano yung iniinom ng mga dinosaurs during the prehistoric period, yan ang nasa katawan natin right now. Right? So hindi siya nadagdagan, hindi nabawasan. Bakit ang mahal ng tubig natin? Because of the process, no?
Yeah.
Because of the paano mo siya palilinisin at paano siya bibilhin. And hindi siya equitable kasi mas mahal, mas maraming kinukuha yung mga malalaking facilities, mga condominiums, mga manufacturing, di ba? Tapos yung mga maliliit na tao, wala silang tubig. But of course, the water is owned by the state. Pero binibenta siya sa merong pwedeng bumili. Tama? So meron tayong problema on that matter. Sabi ko, there's a simple way of doing things, which is how our ancestors live. No? Libre, mura, why don't we adopt the same thinking? No? So sabi ko, instead of me following regenerative principles on the Europeans, Americans, the international standard of regeneration, I did not follow that. No, what I did is I delve into ancient techniques and frugal innovations. No, so it's what I'm doing right now is I promote these kinds of living with practical modernity. No, so yung regenerative design, may gumagawa na nito yung ating mga ninuno.
Yeah.
No? But the thing is, what I have found out, again, Rika, what is interesting here is that 5% of the global population of indigenous people all over the world, no? Global population, they are taking care 85% of our biodiverse land.
Yeah.
Okay? So 5% as against 85%. Ganon kalaki yung kanilang tinitend. While the most intelligent, civilized, modern people, ito yung sabihin natin, educated, with PhD, with masteral degree, what we're doing is we develop sustainability model or we develop the green model. So why don't we just adapt how our ancestors live, di ba? Kung paano nila tinitend yung pamumuhay, ganun lang kasimple. And that's the reason why for 32 years or more, no, hindi nag-pick up yung green and sustainability model because yung mga maliliit na tao, how are you going to expect them to hire sustainability consultants?
Yeah.
What they're going to do is do what their ancestors taught them. No? So what we're doing right now is we created a different name or a different label or whatever, where in fact it's very simple. Let's just continue what they're doing. Diba? So these are just labels, diba? These are just labels. But what is important is on my practice as an architect, as a regenerative architect, I was conferred ASEAN Architect RICA in 2018, no? My specialization is regenerative architecture. So sabi ko, instead of me using materials that are quarried, like sand, for example, they are not renewable for the next 200 million years.
Yeah.
And as an architect na who keeps on specifying concrete, di ba? I am guilty as charged, no? Pagka continuously gagamit ako ng gagamit nito. And that's the reason why not try using soil. This is abundant and it worked for me, no? So that's why sabi ko I have to promote it. I have to make people be aware of this ancient technique, no? Napakaganda niya.
Yeah, and you've been quite successful. There's so many of our bamboo bootcamp graduates that have
Yeah.
already taken your
Oo nga,
earth workshop. So
oo
that's
nga.
why, we had to take a look at the synergies, obviously. And Jed and I have always dreamed of doing earth and bamboo. I don't know if you have seen the video about ibang method, but it's about earth, using earth and bamboo. So why rammed earth? Like, how did you learn? Did you study somewhere? Did you go up in our
Good
indigenous
question.
studies?
Very good question. When we started acquiring, when we uprooted ourselves from the city, no,
Yeah.
we have a property here in Alfonso Cavite. Sabi ko, it's it's a huge property, about 2 hectare land, and we don't have enough money to develop it. But I am uh, enthusiastic. I am determined to start from scratch. No, when I do that, since I don't have the money, what are the abundant materials that I can use here? And the abundant materials are soil and timber and leaves. Kung ano yung meron akong available. So I made full use of it. At first, I watched videos, no, sa YouTube during that pandemic yan eh. Pero prior to that, nagagawa na kami ng mga earthworks, no. So when I tried one, actually I tried one with our pond. Yung pond namin, Rika, is made of clay.
Okay.
I failed 5 to 6 times yata yan, ano ha? Kasi naglilik siya. Until I perfected it, na ang ginamit ko na is termite mound soil. It's a termitaria. So I
Okay.
don't use
Yes, yes.
chemical. I don't use chemical. I don't use any harmful materials na makakapatay ng organismo, no, ng maliliit na organism.
Yeah.
That is because one handful organism contains 1 to 10 billion of life. It can extend up to 50 kilometers. Ganon sila karami. So if you are mindless about that, no, you're killing life. Soil, a healthy soil is a healthy humans, di ba? So
Yeah.
pagka napatay mo sila, may effect yan sa tao. So from there, sabi ko napakaganda ng benefit natin with the soil. Why don't we try it into something else, no? A building material. Turns out meron na palang mga gumagawa niyan, which nung nanood ako, nung nag-research ako, meron na mga rammed earth na ginagawa. But we tried it one step at a time.
Okay.
Ginawa ko siya as flooring, as a pavement, and then ginawa ko siya as a fire pit. In fact, doon kami nag-fail several times. And I enjoyed doing it, Rika, kasi pagka nakita mo yung ganda ng layer niya, para akong bata na, wow, nagpapapalakpak ka sa tuwa, no? Such a eureka, no? Pagka nakita mo yung factor na yun na naging successful ka, or pagka nag-fail ka naman, you try again next time. So we passed through that. And the most important is I only have to use um, non-mechanized, non-modern material tools, no? Kailangan ko dumaan ako doon sa kung ano yung ginagamit ng ating mga ancestors, yan din ang gagamitin ko. Because in my mind, I'm doing this for yung mga tao sa outskirts, no? Sa bundok, sa yung mga maliliit na villages, no? Kasi wala silang pambili ng semento, wala silang pambili ng bakal, wala silang pambili ng mga hollow blocks, no? So why don't they use this kind of technology, sabi ko. Kaya ang ginamit ko noon, kung ano yung mga available namin na tablon, tabla, kawayan, kahoy, lubid para pang-ipit, no? So we passed through all of this, no? Para alam ko kung ano how they feel, paano sila nagre-react, paano sila nag-fail, no? So that I will apply it into practical modernity. So along the way, nung nagiging successful na kami, I even tried na wala siyang reinforcement, and then we tried another using bamboo reinforcement, and then I tried using na mas mataas na siya, and all of it, yun yung pinipresent ko sa masterclass, Rika, how we failed, how we succeeded, and how do we intend to move forward.
Great. That's wonderful. It sounds very similar to what we're trying to do with bamboo. So I think what you're doing and what we're doing are all tools for sustainability, right? And
We
I
were
love that.
connected by the universe, Rika.
And also you talk about the community, like we obviously, I think, sometimes fail to see the outskirts and the other
Yeah, yeah.
side of any city, right? Like there are people that, yeah, cement, building with cement is so easy, but then there are people that have no access to it. Should they just say, okay, I'm not going to have a house, or I'm not going to have
Tama, oo,
a house?
tama.
But I think when we study, or when we actually see the rammed earth, touch it, feel it. In fact, Kevin has already made a rammed earth block on site.
Tama, tama.
It's quite strong, right? And we
That's
were
right.
just
Oo.
in Thailand to do an earth workshop. It's so cold inside.
Inside, yeah.
It's so perfect for our
Tama,
temperament, right? Like with the rising cost of electricity. So it
tama.
is really answering a lot of these challenges that we may face. I mean, we're facing now,
That's
and
right. That's right.
gonna get even worse in the future. So I think you've already kind of given us a very good overview of why rammed earth and the advantages of rammed earth. And I'm sure you're gonna have a lot more time to talk about, all of this
Yeah.
during the bamboo bootcamp. But why did you of course we're the bamboo people and you're the rammed earth guy. How do you see the potential synergy, like from your point of view? How do you see our synergy happening, or like for earth and bamboo?
Well, I'd like to connect with like-minded people, Rika, no? Um, uh, I advocate materials that are regenerating by principle. Mabilis tumubo ang bamboo.
Yeah.
Hindi siya malaki ang carbon footprint, no? Similar dito sa ating ginagawa. And at the same time, hindi ito monopolized.
Yeah.
And it will improve the bioculture of the people, because instead of me giving my money to neoliberal capitalist, no, I would rather feed the people na yung mga maliliit na gustong magpaaral ng anak, gustong kumain ng matino, di ba? Who doesn't abuse other people, no? So you help people who help themselves, rather than, I mean, we're teaching them how to fish. So that's the point here. And we as a conscientious and we're thinking of what will be good for the betterment, no, of our world, the way we found it before, no. So
Yeah.
I think this will be a right fit. This will be a good fit kasi malaki yung magiging benefit ng mga sangkatauhan dito, Rika, di ba? It doesn't take a rocket scientist to distinguish. Alam mo yung if you keep, of course, limited yung kanyang strength.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say here, Rika, is this. I learned from the book of Junichiro Tanizaki, no, yung In Praise of Shadows.
Yeah.
Yung kanilang Japanese house, they are compelled to use Western technology because there's nothing else to offer. So makikita mo yung napakagandang Japanese house, meron kang modern electric fan, meron kang modern switches, no, na it doesn't fit in doon sa character ng isang Japanese house, no. Pero that's what they are trying to offer, no. Ang sabi nga ni Tanizaki is if only we can start again, reboot, no, and create our own switches, our own electric fan, baka we could have developed a much better technology which is suitable to our culture. So that's what we are trying to do right now. Replace, reboot, rethink.
So now with, I don't know how many people have taken your course, and you're also, you started during the pandemic, but what were the common realizations of your participants? Like, parang they didn't expect to feel that way or realize that. What were the most common, like, epiphanies of the participants?
The cost and the strength. Yan yung kanilang primary question. Matibay ba yan? Mura ba yan? It's like we will go back to the same question. If is concrete the right material, no? That's the big question mark. Parang ini-equate natin yung material, yung question about rammed earth doon sa monetary benefit, no? Yun parate yung question diyan, no? Para bang pagka hindi siya nag-fall doon, wag na natin gamitin yan kasi mahal at laborious, no? The truth of the matter is hindi. The only difference is this. Like for example, I gave a comparison of a 3 meter by 6 meter length, 3 meter height by 6 meter length ng wall, for example, using the same CHB and compared with rammed earth, okay? Yung cost mo rito sa CHB, meron kang stiffener, meron kang footing, reinforcement, semento, wala pa tong plaster, walang pintura. It will reach to a cost of about 48,000 pesos. Okay? You can compute that, no? All the listeners, they can make their own computation. It will be within that figure, between 40,000 to 48,000. Let's move on. The same size of rammed earth, ang ginastos ko lamang ay semento. At yung semento na yon, at saka yung binayad ko sa tao, which is labor, assuming that all the materials came from the site. Lupa, clay, aggregates. Yung aggregates, hindi mo kailangan bumili ng commercial aggregates, no? Ang ginagamit ko is yung mga malalaking konte na mabuhangin na available din dun sa land ko. And then yung aking form works, yung sinabi ko kanina, tablon, tabla, tali, kawayan, kahoy, etc. Lahat ng pwede kong gamitin sa site, yan ang ginamit kong pang-form. And it only cost me about 6,000 pesos.
That's a huge difference.
Huge difference, no? Now, sabihin na natin, bumili ako ng pang-forma dahil ayaw ko nang maghanap ng pang-forma dyan sa site, no? Bibili ako ng phenolic board, bili ako ng kahoy, so tumataas yung presyo mo. And then eventually, mag-i-equal yung presyo mo with hollow blocks. Alright? wala kang pintura, wala kang plastering, wala kang maintenance. So saan pa rin ang mas practical?
Yeah.
And at the same time, you're giving the environment a big value, no? Kasi hindi mo kinwari yan, which is right now, we're having a problem with quarry, no? Yung lahat ng mga semento natin kasi karamihan or majority imported na siya either from Vietnam or Thailand, no? So may problema pa rin yan. The question, Rika, is if I'm buying this cement for 205 to 215 pesos, bakit sila kaya pa nilang ibaba yung presyo?
Yeah.
Or pwedeng ganun pa rin yung price? Wherein tinravel mo pa siya.
Yeah.
'Di ba? Samantalang during the pandemic, mas mahal pa yung ating diesel kumpara sa gasoline.
Yeah.
'Di ba? So again, this is monopolized, 'di ba? They are being dictated. Yung price dinidictate na. So if one of us this is the power of one, Rika, for example, no? If I say no, and then it multiplied to 10 million population of the Philippines, no? Wala namang magagawa yung mga supplier, no? Kasi tayo yung nagde-decide, tayo yung nagko-control ng market, not them. But we allow it, no? So that's the power of one. If I inspire people and they believe on what we're doing, no? You start it, and then it will ripple to the next conscientious people, and then we create a community, to a village, to a region, di ba? Until it becomes a culture, di ba?
Yeah. I mean, I think a lot of the reasons why people are taking notice with what you're doing is because you've already created a proof of concept, something
Yeah,
they can touch, they can feel, and then it's almost like you found a secret and you want to share it, and that's why you're teaching it.
yeah, I do. I do. In fact, I gave up doing my webinars and seminars. Ang daming ang nag-invite sa akin sa Manila, Rika. And nahihiya ako kasi I always decline because I cannot stand the traffic and the pollution, the congestion anymore in Manila, no ha? So when I asked them to, if you want, you can come over
Yeah.
para makita ninyo. And that really convinced them na maganda talaga yung rammed earth, no? And the idea of regeneration, no? I think maraming nako-convince because of that.
Yeah, and at the same, so you said that we're learning from things that we've been doing from before pa, from sa mga
Yeah,
ninito pa natin. Ngayon,
tama, tama.
why do you think, so it's kind of like a lost art.
That's right. That's
So
right.
why do you think
Why?
people stop learning about it?
Okay. One thing that I found out is because this is primitive. The same challenge by Hassan Fathi of Egypt, no? Ganyan din yung kanyang challenge kasi nga it's ancient, it's primitive, nobody believes on it. Napaka-sexy nung concrete, especially pagka naka-curve na siya, di ba? During the neo-modern or yung mga modern architecture, di ba? Napakaganda at napakabilis, napaka-convenient kuhanin. But ang tanong sa akin, matibay ba itong rammed earth? So sabi ko, there is a proof na yung merong nakita, mud, walang reinforcement, walang any modernity sa kanya. It existed for 7,000 years. Even yung Great Wall of China, no, is made of rammed earth. And
Yes.
yeah, it's rammed earth, but the concrete, the earliest traces of concrete is the Pantheon. Ang kanyang year is about 2,000 years, no? So, binibigay ko ngayon yung burden of proof sa concrete. If you can prove that you can exist for 7,000 years, you are much better than the mud. You get the point?
Yeah.
But if you come up dun sa 7,000 years, by that time, yung 7,000 years at 12,000 years na siya. That right? So the point here is merong proof na yung mud. hindi pa ito designed by a structural engineer, no? Designed by mga artisans nung sinaunang panahon. So, there are things na, and I even posted on my Facebook page about rammed earth in Germany existed for 196 years. It's 7 stories high. No, 7 floors yung kanyang height. And it still is functioning up to now. Diba? So, if you do it right, you'll be able to benefit from it.
Yeah, I
One
mean,
good thing, pag binasag mo ulit siya, Rika, lupa ulit siya at pwede kang magtanim ulit. Diba? Ang concrete, pag binasag mo, panambak na lang siya and you will lose the 200 million years life of that material. See?
yeah. So this is very inspiring, Architect Ronnie. I look forward to hearing more about.
Sure.
Sorry, my kids are now telling me that it's time to stop. No, stop working. They're not used to it. So yeah, I mean, this is inspiring because I think now it gives a message of hope to people that want to have something concrete, like, not concrete, but I think the reason that people became like living under the ano tawag yan, living under the bridge is because they feel safest. And I don't know who planted that in their heads, but we definitely need something new. Like we need something, some new information to uncover that we do have the resources. Ang yaman-yaman ng Pilipinas.
That's
We
right.
we
That
have
is very
soil, we
right.
can grow
That
the
is very
timber.
right.
And I think this is also very similar to Earth, wherein yes, it might cost the same, but only 40% goes to material and 60% goes to the labor, which means you're giving it to the people who will also spend within their
Benefit.
community,
They will benefit
right?
from it.
So, I mean, like you're saying, a lot of the concrete are now imported. That means we're importing the material and exporting our finances, right? So instead, we can maybe hire somebody to do these mud and clay forms on the ground in our
On
community,
site. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then you're just rotating the funding.
Cycle. Yeah. You know
Within the
what's surprising, Rika? We are the only country in Southeast Asia that's not using fully earth architecture, no? Earth building. Dalawang country in Southeast Asia, Brunei and the Philippines. The rest of the Southeast Asian countries, they're using earth building, no? Brunei, I will understand, mayaman na country ang Brunei, right? Ang Philippines, mahirap na nga, pero bakit hindi pa siya gumagamit ng gano'n, ano ha?
Yes.
In fact, if I'm not saying na you can do this with high-rise buildings, ano ha? But the point is, we can change, reboot how we live.
Yeah.
Hindi kailangan high-rise, but baka we can recreate how we create our economy. Not the one that, alam mo yung vision ng mga some architects, no, na kinakailangan by 2050 ang buildings natin high-rise tapos lumilipad yung mga sasakyan. Why does it have to be like that? Bakit hindi abundant at forested? Di ba, no?
Yeah.
Parang nakatanim sa utak natin na yun lang ang pupuntahan natin because of technology, which is I categorically deny that vision kasi we're doomed pagka ganun ang direction, no?
Yeah.
Why don't we create a vision na abundant ang ating trees, ang ating food, not too much of the buildings, we recreate how we live.
Yeah.
Diba?
I mean, this is all great stuff, and I think not enough people have enough quiet time to actually process this type of information, because we're always surrounded by noise and
Yeah, come to think of it, Rika, no? Nakokonsensya na ako pagka nakakakita ako ng mga iconic architecture. Kasi we were trained to create great designs and iconic designs, di ba?
Yeah.
Pero these are the very reason kung bakit nagkaroon tayo ng mga abuses on our environment. So these are self-serving architecture. But during the pandemic, it ends being beautiful, it ends being iconic. It will not save humanity, right?
Yeah.
In fact, siya yung very reason kaya nangyari ito, yung ating situation na pandemic, no? And so, being a conscientious person, we need to change how we live. We need to change how we think. We need to change how we create our environment and our communities, no? Dapat hindi na ganon.
Wow, that's very exciting. I can't wait to hear you talk and
Thank you,
spend
thank
some
you.
time with you in Baganihan, in the forest. I think now I know why you accepted the invitation, because we're not going to be in a busy city. We're going to be in the middle of nowhere, and you like fresh air. So,
I like
architect,
the ano, I like the ano, Rika. I like the environment. I'm at peace with it. And I want to learn more how your people there interact with their environment. I'm more into what do you call that? Meron silang mga traditional knowledge that I want to learn more. No, yun yung
cool.
hinahanap ko. Yeah.
Well, you'll definitely be able to immerse and also interview them. We live in an indigenous community where about 80% of our artisans are from the area. And then they'll be, actually, when they were watching Kevin do the sample of the rammed earth,
Mm.
they were shocked because everybody really like, because they're a bit young. So they're probably in the next like one generation younger than me, or same as Kevin. So they were shocked that it can be like
Done.
cement, because in their heads, having a cement home is progress.
Tama.
So
I
I
have a I have a very nice story with that Rika, no. Yung isang tao ko who's doing the bamboo works, the native works, no.
mhm.
Sabi niya, "Sir, alam mo napakaganda ng ginagawa natin dito sa Maka Forest Villa because yung lahat ng mga mayayaman na bisita natin, ginagaya yung ginagawa ko." Samantalang nung bata ako, sabi niya, maiyak-iyak ako kasi ginagawa namin ng tatay daw niya, gumagawa sila ng bahay using bamboo and nipa. Tapos yung sa kapitbahay nila, semento na. So sabi niya, naiiyak ako, sir, kasi parang ganito ba kami kahirap at ito lang yung aming kaya. Yung kapitbahay namin, ano na, bato na yung bahay nila. Pero
Mm.
ngayon, sir, proud na proud ako, sabi niya. Gusto kong ipamana ito sa anak ko.
Oh.
'Di ba? Napakaganda ng story niya.
And we need more of those stories, right?
Yeah,
I'm really afraid for
it's
the
touching people's lives. Eh. Yeah.
yeah. All right. Well, thank you again for your time.
Thank
I will
you.
see you soon in a couple of weeks or so. Have a
See you.
good
See
night,
you.
Art Ronnie.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. Thank you for joining us on Kawayan Cafe. Let's not just admire bamboo, let's live it. Remember to subscribe, spread the word, and leave us some insights. Till next time, Bambuhay!